I think it is very much required, and the more to make a difference to any program. And I think you need a lot of networking, not lot of uh, force, and you need to make it. You need people at the level of the government. You need to make them understand what you actually need, and when it comes percolating from the top, then it has maximum amount of impact. So advocacy and policy planning to target the goal of eliminating corneal blindness by 2030. And again, I would like to dedicate this to the vision of Dr. G. Mukherjee sir, who was at the helm of advocacy. He was extremely instrumental in bringing about the whole program of eye banking, especially the voluntary eye donation, the HCRP, back to normal, or I must say, the all those advisories which came from the government. He was instrumental in making them happen. And iBanking in the COVID times, we all know, has hit the lowest possible figures. And advocacy and policy planning is important in this respect. And although we have been the first country to launch the NPCB program or take the program for control of blindness and vision impairment at the level of the government, and in 1999, WHO also launched 2020. But I think in terms of other forms of blindness, although there has been a lot of developments which have occurred from the government, lot of incentives from the government as far as cataract is concerned, or even for that matter, even now diabetes is concerned, but not so much from the point of view of the eye banking. And this is just to show the Indian figures of global distribution of blindness and visual impairment, which far exceed the regions, various regions all over the globe. And again, this is globally to show the indication for corneal transplantation, which has been reported by 98 countries. And infectious keratitis for our country has always been very important, whether it is healed or whether it is active. Although for other countries, it is the causes such as keratoconus or Fuchs dystrophy. There were two main factors identified and for corneal blindness, and I think they are true even for overall blindness, and I think they are even true for corneal blindness. And one was poverty, and the other was the economy of the families, the employment, the education, the gender, etc. And so it is critical that countries adopt a whole of government approach to vision and include eye health in their implementation of the sustainable development goals at the national level. And although it doesn't fall into our purview, but yes, this is something which is required, because that would take care of the causes of blindness which are in India. So good health and well-being is important, and so is uh, taking care of the poverty. Quality education is important, and so is the gender equality. And the problem not only in corneal blindness but otherwise is also that the eye care services are poorly integrated into the health system. And so availability, accessibility, and acceptability of eye care services have an influence on the eye conditions and vision impairment. And so these needs are much more in the rural areas as compared to the urban areas. And now coming to corneal blindness per se, it is important. I think part of the things have been covered, but just to sum up all these things, it is important that availability of the donor tissue should be there. So networking with the eye donation center should be there. Although it is there, but it is not as much as we would desire. The hospital-based cornea retrieval program is there, but again needs to be strengthened. Then there has to be awareness generated in the communities and the educational institutes, etc. And toll-free numbers at a lot more places as compared to what it is now. And adoption, of course, of in situ corneal scleral rim excision, because I know that even now, at least 35 to 40% of our collection is through the whole eyeballs. Then long-term media has come into vogue now, and this is something, this is a good news and heartening. And the fact very nicely, Dr. Sunita covered that we are using now corneas for multiple recipients, and that has made a lot of difference. And of course, the development of protocols to ensure that corneal preservation media is sterile and disinfected, and so there is no infection post-op. Because, like we all know, as corneal surgeons, the story begins after the corneal transplants are done. Then, in the event of graft failure, we need to include fellow eye status when we assess the priority for keratoplasty and risk of functional and anatomical failure. And this is not uniform all over the country, because at some places, even if the patient is seeing 6/6 with the other eye, the grafts are done. At the other places the bilaterally blind patients are there whose grafts are not done. So I think the whole system of the whole country's system needs to be standardized. Then training for the surgeons and keratoplasty is required, but more importantly, training is also required for their post-op follow-up, because the corneal transplant can only surgeon can only follow up X number of patients that come to him, but all those who are not in his own territory need to be followed up at peripheral centers or district centers. So we do need people who can follow up these cases. Then to push the frontiers in the eye banking research, you do need other things like amniotic membrane, umbilical cord serum, stem cell, and operational research in eye banking is also required. Very nicely, Dr. Manisha also highlighted this, that you require corneal transplant registry, because the story starts when the corneal transplant is done, and we really have no data for these transplants in our country, and that is something which we should work for, unlike other registries in the world. It is important to analyze this data on a regular basis, and we do require corrective strategies and interventions. Very nicely again highlighted earlier, the utility reports often are not sent by the eye banks in terms of how those corneas have been used. So you need policy changes favoring cornea donation, which is mandatory. Death notification should be there uh, to the nearest eye bank for eye donation counseling. Then you require the required request law typically mandates that hospital utilizes accepted medical standards in articulating policies for identification of the potential organ donors. And I think that is something which we need to get away from. Then first person consent should be allowed to make a decision to be an organ or tissue donor legally or binding. Additional witnesses or family consent is not required or should not be required in order to be a donor. And this can change the number of donors dramatically, as the pledges will actually convert to donations. Then it is important that we have access to all the trauma centers and all the mortuaries, although it is there in some of the cities, but not there everywhere. And that would also help us to get access to the donors who are younger in age. But then telephonic consent, like I said earlier, also should be given more legal status and value, because it is impossible to contact the family members for counseling. If the consent is given the legal status, then call center approach can be used to counsel the family members, which will directly impact the actual number of cornea donation. Then the major hurdle is the cost coverage of the cornea donation, and that should also be done in the professional development of the because that would help in the professional development of the eye banks and will help to reimburse all the expenses. The donations from philanthropists and grant from government is not sufficient to run the eye bank and make it self-sustainable. And we all know it, especially the ones people who are there in the government institution. So if the cost coverage is legalized, and I think partly it has been done so also, tissue processing charges, but if it is done in a more objective manner, then this will surely enhance the standard of eye banking all across the region. So the key factors for successful advocacy are generation of evidence. So I think we need data. We need data to convince the policymakers, and data is treasure, or data is knowledge. Data is the most important thing, and also helps you to take donations from various entrepreneurs who are willing to donate money. Uh, we do need credible eye care leadership, engagement with the policy leaders, and align with the health and the development agenda. And of course, media strategy needs to be revised so that we have good brand ambassadors who would be helping with us with this. Then do's and don'ts of the influencing policy is that we should do high quality research, make our research relevant and readable, understand policy processes, be accessible to policymakers, and engage routinely in a flexible manner and humbly, and build relationships with the policymakers and be entrepreneurial or find someone who is. and reflect continuously. Should you engage? Do you want to do it? And is it working? So to conclude, the potential of cornea donation and transplantation has yet to be optimized. The control measures through existing policy exist, but need an enhancement through policy changes. To resolve the problem of corneal blindness, countries need to fast-track policy changes, and well-designed regional governance framework needs to be put in place to coordinate individual national efforts in matching the supply with the demand. And more organizations you can assemble together to say that I want this, the stronger will be the message which is given to the government. So thank you very much for your kind attention.
We'll go directly to our next speaker. We are a little short of time. Patrick, are you there?
Dr. Hitendra has also not spoken, sir.
So, Patrick.
Sir, both the speaker has not joined it, sir.
Patrick has not yet joined.
Patrick is not joined, sir.
So we have 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes there. Next session. So, Kudesh, can you sum up?
Yeah, I think so. I think overall, we had a very interesting session, and it was amongst the people who strongly believe in the in iBanking and in improving things for the future. A huge lot of things need to be done, right from advocacy to getting the required consent law passed, to getting so that we get more donors, and to work around the apathy which has come in again because of COVID time, to recharge the batteries of everybody in the iBanking system, that we need to go back to both HCRP as well as home donations with adequate safeguards, of course, for our personnel and for all concerned. More important, we need to recognize that that we have a huge, long way to go, but we can only improve from here onwards. By advocacy, by proper SOPs in place, and by training staff and improving the infrastructure in our existing iBanks. As someone correctly said, almost all our donations come from the top 15-20% of the iBanks, and the other 80% are really lagging behind. So if we can make it more equitable, we will go a long way in solving what seems to be an insurmountable problem of getting rid of corneal blindness by 2030. Together we can, together we will.